What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when the live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Also share this out, the video series, and the channel as we are inching our way towards the 1.4K mark. So with that being said, another Roster Bubble Series video usually takes about 5 to 10 minutes long, sometimes a little longer, depending on the player. So in these videos, I take a player that's on the cusp of being cut. I go into their background, go into their competition, how they could win a spot on the roster, how they could lose a spot on the roster, and at the end, a prediction. So, a familiar foe to the Buffalo Bills, and specifically Brian Dable, Joe Shane, any of the guys that came over from Buffalo, that's Tommy Sweeney. He signed a one-year contract with the New York Giants in March as an extra tight end, and he's got a lot of competition. But to go further into his background, he was drafted by Buffalo in the 7th round of the 2019 draft. His contract was up. That's why he was a free agent. He didn't get released or anything, but his contract was up from the 2019 class. Anyway, in 2019, with the Buffalo Bills, he played in a total of 6 games, 31% of the offensive snaps in those 6 games, 8 receptions, 114 yards, 14.3 yards per reception, with the catch percentage of 61.5, and 5 total snaps on special teams. You move to 2020, he's injured during training camp, unfortunately gets COVID, and then is out for the entire season because he gets myocarditis as a result of COVID. So that's not good, obviously. Then you move into 2021. He plays in 13 games. He starts 3, 9 receptions, 44 yards, 1 touchdown, 75% catch rate, 30% of the offensive snaps in those 13 games, and 1 snap on special teams. And then you move to 2022, his final year as a Buffalo Bill, plays in 5 games, 1 reception, 7 yards. Also to note that this is the first year under Ken Dorsey as an offensive coordinator, but 1 reception, 7 yards, and that's about it. Also with 42% of the snaps in the 5 games on special teams, 21% on offense. So what is he at this point in his career? Well, obviously he's a backup tight end. He's no starter. He started a few games, obviously, with Buffalo over the course of his career, to be exact 4. But those were as number 2 and 3 tight ends. And the thing is, the kicker is, well, obviously there's a lot of bodies in the room in terms of competing for that tight end 3 role for the New York Giants. But also, it's not very predictable as to where they're going to go. I have a definite guess. An educated guess is where they're going to go, whether it's a pass catching or a run blocking tight end. That's what Tommy Sweeney is. He's a run blocking tight end that also has some special teams experience as of last season. And to be fair, actually, you know what? I'm going to save that stuff for how can he win and how can he lose. But his competition looks like this. Alex-GajovichProtich, who's a converted wide receiver, played with the Giants last year, so he knows the scheme already. Ryan Jones, undrafted free agent out of East Carolina. I believe he's also a converted wide receiver. So, with that being said, he's probably not going to fit into the run blocking category. And Chris Myrick, who was a fullback and a tight end last year for the Giants, got cut, re-signed. He's had a couple of tenures with the Giants. But anyway, how can he win? Evolve as a pass catcher. I think that ought to help him. I don't think that's realistic, though, because he's shown in his career, really, he has no ability to be a pass catcher. He just isn't that type of guy. I mean, in terms of his frame, bigger body, 6'5", 251, but it's the frame and the skill set of a blocking tight end. He's not a pass-catching tight end, despite what his college numbers say. But if he could evolve as a pass catcher, that helps him over a guy like Chris Myrick, who, Myrick obviously got a couple of receptions last preseason and got a few in the regular season as well. But, I mean, you want to go side by side with him and also some of the other pass catchers that are in that tight end room in Alex-GajovichProtich and Ryan Jones. So evolve as a pass catcher. Maybe, I guess, you could probably try to be a 50-50 ball guy. He's got a big frame, so over any linebackers that are like 6'1", 6'2", any small guys. Try to dominate them. But as I said, I don't see that as realistic. Show more effectiveness than competition as a blocker. That's the whole mystery of this thing. And I think it's going to be one of the bigger mysteries of camp in the preseason. How many tight ends do the Giants want? And who do they want as their tight ends? So obviously you're going to have Bellinger. You're going to have Darren Waller. One is a pass catcher, and the second one is a pass catcher and also a better run blocker, to be exact. And Bellinger's making the roster. So who is the tight end 3? Are the Giants going to run out 3 tight end sets where they'll probably need a guy like Chris Myrick or Tommy Sweeney? Or are they going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets with more wide receivers, more flexibility in the backfield, stuff like that, and just need pass catchers in the slot like a Alex-GajovichProtich or like some of these other guys that we've been talking about. Maybe some guy off the street. So, in terms of what they want, I have a definite guess, as I said, which I'll get to at the end, but show more effectiveness than competition as a blocker. Cager cannot block. Ryan Jones, I doubt he could block too. So it's going to be up to Myrick, as we talked about in a separate video, and also Tommy Sweeney, as we're talking about in this video, and be an asset on special teams. I've been talking about it more and more as we go into these players. Tamon Fox, Carter Coughlin, all these different guys. Kick and punt return coverage is important. The Giants are getting new flesh and blood because their special teams unit has been utter garbage the last few years. I think it's because of the coordinator, but the players could also be the problem too. So be an asset on special teams. I mean, he really wasn't an asset the first 2-3 years of his career, but last year played 42% of the snaps in those 5 games. So maybe he could do something in kick and punt return coverage, or he could be just an extra tight end when, the extra point is being made or whatever the case is, on special teams, just be an asset. So how can he lose? Overshadowed on special teams by competing players. That's what I just talked about. Tamon Fox, Carter Coughlin, all these different guys competing. Cam Brown too. I mean, I don't know the exact positions on special teams in terms of kickoff and punt return coverage, but I mean, also you need blockers on special teams. Like, you don't want anyone going after Jamie Gillen. I mean, Jamie Gillen can't punt already, but you in that special punt coverage, if you will, in terms of punting it away, not getting the punt, you do need tight ends and different types of safeties to block those guys so that they don't get back behind you and block the punt. I mean, the Giants have had that the last few years, and it's really been just not good to watch as a fan, and obviously a little bit worse as, players and all that sort of stuff inside the building. Not effective as a blocker. I think that's going to be a big one because I think Myrick has the same amount of experience, probably a little bit less than a guy like Tommy Sweeney, but who knows? I mean, it's a battle between 2 of them, in my opinion, in terms of blocking, because Cager can't block, Jones can't block, and I think that's that. So if he's not effective as a blocker, Tommy Sweeney, I think that's where he loses out the most. And pass catching plateau, I think it's just got to be, in the passing situations, if Tommy Sweeney's against the linebacker or whatever, try your best to separate, even though that's probably not going to happen. Also, just like, use your body. Not obviously making the catch, but if you got a bigger frame than the linebacker or safety covering you, use that to your advantage and catch every ball that kind of goes your way. Unless it's like a legitimately bad throw, you don't want to get too many drops in there because that's just going to, check the boxes off in terms of why you shouldn't make the roster. So how can you win? Evolve as a pass catcher. Again, not really realistic. Show more effectiveness as a blocker, rather than the other competition, and then be an asset on special teams. How can you lose? Overshadowed on specials by competing players, not effective as a blocker in terms of run blocking, pass catching plateau. So I have him being cut. I don't think there's a spot on the roster for him. We'll see how he performs in the preseason, but I would like to think that the New York Giants really have more favoritism towards Chris Myrick, and I also think that they're going to be sticking with 3 tight ends, not 4, and that extra guy is going to be a pass catcher. And I already predicted a couple of videos ago that Alex-GajovichProtich is probably going to be that guy that stays on as the 3rd tight end, or somebody off the street that we don't even know. But, with Saquon possibly, sitting out the season or sitting out the first few games, it's tough to tell. It's tough to predict. They may need more blockers if the Giants are going to go run heavy. So that's where Tommy Sweeney or Chris Myrick could come in. But also as well, I think they're going to go more pass-heavy either way, whether Saquon sits out or not, and that would probably cause Lawrence Cager to make the roster more likely. But like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate you all coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.